Buongiorno, mi chiamo Benjamino Wolfgram. This is the production vlog for Matthew Doherty's No Not Yet. For the production, I was enlisted as producer, with other key roles being Matthew Doherty as writer-director, Cade Neal as editor, Nick Jeffries as sound recorder, and non-Swinburne student Josh Mitchell-Frey as DOP. The story of No Not Yet follows Marlon as he struggles to find his place in the world and the will to fight for both his career and his failing love life. It's somewhat strange to be doing a production vlog for this film, as we were the first to shoot. We shot in late June, and a few months later my recollections can be a little hazy and a little PTSD. As a producer, the majority of my work was in pre-production. My first duty was to negotiate the script with Matthew Doherty. This is one of those delicate areas, for it's the writer-director's script, it's their story, their vision that they're trying to bring to life. And as a producer, it's our goal to enhance and guide that along. This is one of those areas where I feel I may have faltered. While negotiating the script with Matthew, asking for rewrites, asking questions about the script's themes and characters, we received one notable rewrite, which I was very happy with, but subsequently we only got minor changes. There were certain script scenes and stories and characters which I felt needed a bit more work. Matthew Doherty's writing style is to workshop the scenes with the actors. While this does terrifically for performances, it does leave certain aspects of the scripts underdeveloped. My biggest issue was with the mother sequence, which I had red flagged due to relevance and the character's impact on our main character, Marlon. My concerns were ignored, and the unfortunate result of this is now that the entire sequence of the mother's house is left on the cutting room floor, which is very unfortunate given that there were some great performances and an entire day's work has now been wasted. In regards to actors, I was very impressed with the performances given. We did have two major issues, however. First of all, our lead actor pulled out 2 weeks before the production. While this did leave us on the back foot, Matthew Galvin stepped in and did a magnificent job with the role of Marlon. The other issue that I flagged was with the mother. While Matthew was incredibly happy with the woman he chose for the role and with her performance, there was the issue that she was too young for the role. Matthew believed that we could solve this with prosthetics, and we had a lovely makeup artist, Early Lane, helping us out with prosthetics. In my experience, prosthetics can add or subtract 5 to 10 years. Anything more gets cartoonish. Even Ridley Scott struggled with this in his film Prometheus.
Yet he is unable to appreciate his remarkable gifts. For that would require the one thing that David will never have: a soul.
The result of this was one of the factors that contributed to the mother sequence being left on the cutting room floor. In regards to locations, we were fortunate enough to get very suitable locations for all the filming. We did have a couple of issues with locations. While Nick Jeffries had agreed to allow us to film in his apartment, he moved slightly prior to production. While his new apartment was okay, it was not quite as photogenic as his previous apartment. Another issue that we had was with Pellegrini's Cafe in Melbourne CBD. While we had permission to shoot there, it was revoked prior to production due to internal conflict. This resulted in us trying to find a New York-style cafe. One of the interesting points of dispute between Matthew and I was what constituted a New York-style cafe. Matthew had a very strict vision in mind, and when looking at his pre-production work, he had very clear Woody Allen-style, New York-style themes to it. And while I chose cafes that suited my vision of New York, Matt had a different idea. We eventually settled upon Sticky Beak Cafe in Windsor. One of the things that I find very interesting about this film, especially in regards to Matthew Doherty's vision and pre-production work, is that he was after a very strict New York style vibe to the film. I feel, however, that it has a very Melbourne vibe to it, especially with the locations that he chose. Warm, kitschy style humour, offbeat, quirky. It's all very Australian, it's all very Melburnian. When I think of New York, I think of darker, I think of grungy, I think of steam coming from manhole covers, none of which you associate with Melbourne. But Matthew seems happy with his production, so I'm more than happy for that. In regards to budget, Matthew Doherty funded the film himself. This worked out fine within the constraints of the story, as there were no explosions or expensive set pieces. We were very fortunate that all our locations agreed to give us access without any location fees. This meant that the rest of the budget was spent on props, costumes, lens hire, and catering, all of which were kept as low as possible. The production went smoothly. There was a bit of a mix-up with Josh Mitchell-Frey double booking himself, which forced us to start later on a couple of days. There was also a small hiccup with one of the call sheets not sending a makeup artist to do a small practical effect at one of our locations. This, however, was rectified by one of our quick-thinking members on set, giving our character a small black eye. Post-production has gone extremely well. Being one of the first to shoot, we were also one of the first to produce a rough cut. I'm extremely happy with the post-production class, as the majority of our crew has attended virtually all sessions. Teacher suggestions and discussions have been listened to, and I feel that the story and film have been condensed greatly as a result of these discussions. I'm extremely happy with the way that the production has proceeded, and I'm very happy with the end result, which we have received a picture look for. One of the issues that I struggled with on this production was communication. A lot of the key crew and all of the actors were unknown to me. I feel that there should have been a roundtable meeting, a group meeting prior to production, so that we could all get to know each other. There was no issue on set, but it was just strange talking to people that I'd never met before, not being able to gauge kind of humour and kind of reliability and so forth. The biggest issue that I had with this production was inserting dominance. Now it sounds strange, but how much should I be pushing, how much should I be guiding, how much should I be wrangling people on set? As mentioned before, I feel that elements of the script were left underdeveloped, but at the same time I got the feeling that if I pushed too hard, if I had have come down on Matty like a ton of bricks, it would have splintered. He would have kicked me off production, he would have left. I don't think he would have bounced back. In regards to script criticism, he didn't bounce back from a lot of these criticisms. He kind of went inward, which is something that I kind of worried about. If I came down too hard, if I kind of pushed various areas, that I would crack. And I did my best to conserve the director-producer relationship, but I didn't handle it 100%. There are aspects that I feel could have been improved. But overall, I'm very happy with how things went. I'm very happy with the product that we've got. And I look forward to seeing everyone at the premiere. Thank you very much for your time.